Hello guys, welcome to our video lesson number one of the week number 6. Um, Hope everything is good on your side. Hope you have been having a good time, or at least not such a difficult one. Now that it's been, well, for us 6 weeks, but for you about 7 or 8 of the semester. I know that most likely you have a lot of uh, compromises, commitments, not only academic but otherwise as well. So I'm sending my best energies and my best wishes. I know that sometimes we have hard situations, problems, worries, and we all face them in different ways, right? Nevertheless, I hope that you gather strength, that you gather resilience, and somehow pull through, guys, because we need you all. Okay, so my best wishes and all the strength in the world for you. um, well, guys, as usual, I would like to start this class with a little poem. This time is by the writer and poet Alfonsina Stormy, and this one's called Oveja Descarriada. Oveja descarriada, dijeron por ahí. Oveja descarriada, los hombros encogí. En verdad descarriada, que a los bosques salí. Estrellas de los cielos en los bosques pasí. En verdad descarriada, que el oro que cogí no me duró en las manos y a cualquiera lo di. En verdad descarriada, que tuve para mí el oro de los cielos por cosa baladí. En verdad descarriada, que estoy de paso aquí. Well, like it very much, guys. This one, because, well, in her role as a woman, especially in the time that she lived, was a really difficult thing to go against the current, right? Like, she was expected to be a wife, a mother, to raise the kids, to take care of the husband, and that was it, right? That is what society expected back then. So this sort of adventurous life that she proposes, this sort of not worrying too much about the present, and just doing your thing and doing what you like, was not necessarily well received back then. Yes, it was a difficult thing. So I think that adds some more value to the poem. And well, it is about, just sometimes people expect different things from us, and we sometimes sacrifice our happiness for them, and that's not always the wisest choice, right? Within the limits of responsibility is better, I think, and I think Alfonsina as well, to do your thing, to do what you like, to do what fulfills you, right? And we're going to talk today a little bit about that fulfillment. So, well, we're almost done with these schools of thought related to learning, human learning. So we're missing about 2 of them, right? I would like to emphasize on the proximity of our test. We are on the week number 6, so we have one more week, the number 7, and on the 8th we're going to have our test number 1. So I would recommend that you take a look at your notes if you have them, or check the videos again, maybe to confirm certain things. And if necessary, well, let me know, and maybe we can have a small session for people who feel that need it, or something like that, in order to clarify certain concepts, for examples, or I don't know, different things that may be necessary for you when facing the exam. Okay, so don't forget about that, please. Let's go to the slide number 27, and in that slide we're going to see something that is getting closer and closer to, let's say, humanism, right? And the idea of analyzing and valuing the different dimensions of an individual. Remember that when we started, it was all behavioristic. It was all sort of mechanic, robotic somehow. Yes, and we started with Pavlov. That of course research about a lot of valuable things, but it was a little bit more mechanicistic. So if we go there and go to Skinner and go through all the different ones until arriving to Oswald and then today to Maslow, we are going to see that the trend or the pattern is that we go from the more artificial mechanic until let's say some conception a little bit more humanistic about the individual. And well, he's sort of like the spiritual father of psychology, or humanistic psychology, sorry, Abraham Maslow. So he presented something that he called the theory of self-actualization. Yes, basically he proposed that we have some innate motivation, which is really polemic. We're not going to stop on that, but he proposed that we are sort of programmed, we have this instinct that is implanted to us from birth, right? We come with that. Well, innate things or innate motivations, qualities, talents, whatever, are a really arguable thing, but well, that is what he proposed. And we have this motivation, and we sort of achieve our potential by using and developing talents and abilities. Yes? So this idea of learning is not something that we necessarily do, according to Maslow, to satisfy external sources, right? Sure, we learn in order to get a job, to get some money, to somehow advance in life, to buy things, to get to know people. Yes, it is undeniable, that part, but he says that the original source somehow is inside us, and it is programmed into somehow our genetic code. And well, we want to grow in different directions, physically, intellectually, academically, professionally, different dimensions, by developing our talent and abilities. Now, recognizing talents, usually something that is a raw potential. Let's say somebody who is really tall has somehow the possibility of developing this talent for playing basketball, for example, right? Because his let's say physical configuration and his somehow qualities would make him likely to if he trains and somehow hone these abilities, he has this potential of being a good basketball player, right? And then the abilities tend to be these sort of skills that are more dependent of somehow training, practicing, getting to know the basics or the advanced fundamentals of a discipline, of a practice, or something like that, right? Theoretically, everybody can learn abilities. Everybody, yes, as long as we have like our minimal cognitive and physical requirements as a human being, also traditional ones, let's say, like everybody will be able to acquire an ability. Different from the other one, yes, the talent suggested by Maslow, that it's no matter how you train, like you cannot be taller, right? You can jump higher, maybe. You can be, let's say, more agile, and then compensate your lack of height for basketball purposes, for example, right? So that's it. Then Maslow presents something that's called the peak experiences, yes? And this is really important because he talks about these peak experiences as the moments in which a human being achieves a sense of fulfillment, right? Every time we feel satisfaction for something, we have a peak experience, and normally that has a really positive impact into our experience as human beings, right? So Every time you achieve a goal that you planned in the past, yes, or even if you didn't plan it, but you realize that that is fulfillment for you, that you are somehow better in terms of your expectations or your criteria for being better, because for everybody is different. So you achieve this sort of peak experiences, and that is what Maslow proposes. Like we should try to achieve all the time, every once in a while, as often as possible. These peak experiences will make our lives satisfactory and will propel us in order to even reach higher goals and higher expectations and all these different things, right? Now, he has another term for this as well, and it's that of self-actualization, right? So the self-actualization consists into learning new things and having the possibility of improving our skills, talents, and abilities in order to reach, let's say, a superior stage, right? Now, in order to get self-actualization, we need to satisfy our basic needs, right? So what are our basic needs, or what are our needs in general, right? So for this, Maslow presented something that you have probably seen somewhere else. I don't know, maybe in a didactics or pedagogy class, or even somewhere else, because this instrument is used as well in economy, in marketing, in different things. Let's say it was implemented by different disciplines. Well, he created this pyramid of needs, right? The hierarchy of needs. What is a hierarchy? Well, let's say that if you think about the military, for example, you see that there is a lower rank, such as is the soldier, and then you go up, and you will find more important titles, right? Such as captain or major or colonel or general. I really don't know a lot about the military, but you know that's a good example for checking about the hierarchies, right? This is what he proposes that we require to achieve this self-actualization, like to be on the top of our expectations, and then probably return one more time, right? So let's take a look at this. If you go to the slide number 28, you will find this graphic of the hierarchy of needs. Yes. So let's go one by one. Let's explain it little by little, and then we will discuss some other details. So as you can see on the first part, it says that it is a physiological needs, right? So this is the most basic level of needs that we require to satisfy. Yeah, we have this food and drink. That is, of course, the minimum thing that we require. We require to eat. We require to have energy. So with that, we will be able to perform other activities, physical, intellectual, or otherwise, right? So we have certain things that are, of course, really, really evident in here, such as oxygen, right? We require these survival conditions, at least maximum or minimum amount of temperature to be able to live, to be healthy, right? We require, let's say, regulation, yes, elimination. When we talk about elimination, we're talking about our excretory functions, yes, being able to take a pee, being able to go to the bathroom, right? And then we have some, let's say, other things that are also pretty evident. Rest, we're required to sleep. Activity, we don't, I mean, the excessive rest is all going to atrophy our members, our limbs. So we also require to exercise somehow. And a really important one, that is the sex. Okay, all those are physiological needs. It's let's say interesting that sex is included over here because it is somehow a pulsion that invite us to or motivate us to do some other things, right? Uh, Remember that the sexual impulse it's somehow animalistic in let's say in a way for the reproductory disposition of humankind, right? Now we have done a lot of different things to avoid reproduction, and that is why we have contraceptive methods 1,000, right? But it is somehow, and this is what Maslow proposes, it is in our nature, right? So, very basically, human beings try to relate to each other. Uh, of course, eventually with the, let's say, requirement of company, of love, of affection, of different things. But a very basic one is in sex, right? So it's really important to remember that, because that drive, that sexual pulsion, that sexual drive is going to impulse some other things, right? He doesn't recognize this as a bad thing, so something that needs to be avoided or something like that. Of course, it needs to be regulated and controlled under social conditions and individuals and stuff, right? But it's important to know all of this. So, if you remember what I just mentioned, we're required to satisfy at least these very basic needs in order to go up, okay? And well, I think that we all have suffered all these different things and affected the rest of our needs, yes? You cannot study well, you cannot academically produce if you're hungry. And that's the reality of a lot of people, yes? And many of us, myself, at some point in my life, I had that difficulty. When I was studying at the university, sometimes you didn't have enough money to go to the restaurant even, which is really cheap. But, well, not possible, right? And then the rest of my day was not necessarily good because I was sort of hungry and I wasn't able to deal with the academics as in as good as way as I would like to. And well, all these different things that are minimum. I mean, if the classroom is really stuffed, if the temperature is really high, yes, 17 block anybody, all these different things, they seem to be trivial, yes, and somehow we as Colombian people have adapted to a lot of limitations, right? But that is not an ideal situation. That is not something that should happen, right? And I know that you who are taking practicum already or have or are going to, you're going to face a lot of these difficulties in your class, like students, because I've been a school teacher as well, maybe in a different context, but I'm really aware of public schools and how they somehow arrive to the school without breakfast, hungry, somehow, well, with some other, let's say, emotional needs that go a little bit up, that are upper in the pyramid. But well, all these different things, and that's it, right? Let's think about teenagers, right? For the sexual part, hormones, desire, and all these different things are a basic need for many of them. Even if many of them have not really engaged on sexual intercourse, there is a pulsion over there. And we all have been teens, right? And we know how it all feels when you discover or somehow are in contact with this part of sexuality. So I don't know if they will be really interested in I don't know, present perfect when they want to have sex with the partner that is beside them. Yes, the girl is somehow feeling really attracted to the captain of the soccer team of the class or something like that, right? So you see, these seem to be like a very general thing, but definitely you have to take it into account when you're dealing with your students. Yes, you need to check all these different ideas in order to do so, right? Uh, let's say classes that are at 6 a.m., or classes that are really late, or classes that are at midday, right? So it doesn't mean that it's impossible to have those classes, but you have to somehow have a different preparation than when the class is at 8 or at 10 or at 2 p.m. Yes. So it's important to take these into account. Okay. So those are the physiological needs. Then let's climb up a little bit higher on the pyramid, and we will find the safety needs. Yes. You have these different things over here, such as protection from potentially dangerous objects or situations. For example, the elements. When I'm talking about the elements, I mean weather, a lot of sun, a lot of rain, a cold wind, or something like that. Physical illness. Well, right now we're all really susceptible to all our physical illnesses. Of course, also psychological, but well, in this segment we're dealing with physical. So specifically with COVID, with let's say atrophiation of our backs, our wrists, all these muscular and lumbar problems that we may experience because of spending a long time at home or in front of a computer or something like that. And well, when we come back to the school or to the university, there are a lot of things that may happen. And well, a lot of different things. Yes, the importance of routine and familiarity. Yes, and that is why somehow now we're seeing so many problems, right? Our routine was disrupted. We have different practices. We have different things that we tended to do every week, every day, and we had to abruptly change that. Mandatorily, we have to forcefully do it in that way. And believe me that whenever the quarantine is over, well, there is going to be a new process of anxiety, because whether we like it or not, right now we're having a routine in our house, and facing again the old routine, although I know that many of us miss that, is going to be a problem somehow. Yes, so take that into account in terms of safety needs. Yes, everything that it's both physical and emotional, and that depends on the protection somehow. Then we have love and belongingness. Yes, according to Maslow, he proposes that in the third level is this. Yes, so there are a lot of different things that you can think over here. Now, like you can get married and you can be in love, but what about if you don't have anything to eat? Yes, even he proposes that is it possible to have sex without loving? Yes, that is what he proposing over here. He is proposing somehow that is it possible to require protection or require a sense of being safe before requiring more affectionate, let's say, needs, right? So it's interesting to take a look at this level that he proposes. Of course, we will see somehow in the end that there are different things that can combine and that are not necessarily go in that order, but this is like the way of priority that he mentions. So in love and belongingness, we have receiving and giving love. Yes, of all different kinds. Yes, maybe I say love and you think immediately about romantic love, but let's say there are all kinds of love. The love that you receive from your family, from your friends, from your girlfriend, from your husband or wife, from your pet, all these different things, right? Receiving and giving love, affection, trust, and acceptance. Yes, you need somebody to trust you, to tell you things, somebody you can talk to tell your emotions, your feelings, your fears, right? And you need to be accepted when you do that. And something that is really important, affiliation. Yes, what does it mean, affiliation? To be part of a group. Yes, you are either part of a group of friends, you belong to the big community of the university, the students, you are part of a, I don't know, a group of fans of a soccer team, of a specific hobby, such as, I don't know, video games, or you like dancing a lot, so you have a group of people. And there are like these little subgroups of individuals that are well known for a particular like or preference or practice, but we tend to associate ourselves, yes, in small groups, in small, let's say, covens of individuals that share the same preferences or ideas, right? So this is about love and belongingness. Hopefully I can finish here before we go. It says esteem needs, yes. So this is a little different from love. You see that love is a little bit more personal, goes a little bit more familiar. The esteem needs are such as the need of esteem and respect of others. Self-esteem, which is curious because you will see that we have like 3 or 4 levels before arriving into self-esteem, into liking yourself, right? That should be really, really lower, but well, Maslow proposes that. And self-respect and a sense of competence, right? Like believing that you are good for something. Not yet to something professional or academic, but you have some sort of purpose or some sort of strength, that you're good for something, right? So this will go in the next stage, the esteem needs. As you can see, these are not necessarily close. I mean, your mom loves you. She's supposed to, right? She has to. Your brother, your father, some of your closer friends, right? You may be not such a competent person, or maybe not the prettiest, or maybe not the nicest, but nevertheless, these people that are closer to your family tend to, not always, right? Tend to accept you better because somehow there is a compromise over there, right? And a love that is supposed to be natural, it's not, but it's supposed, right? Now the esteem, it's a little bit more external. It's people like you somehow because of what they perceive in you, because of your competence, and they are not necessarily your friends or somebody who are supposed to like you, but they do. They are expected to do it in that way, and that is why we have this level of esteem needs. Okay, good guys. So we have explained somehow these first 4 stages of the hierarchy of needs of Maslow. So in the next video we will continue with the other, and we will discuss some other things. Okay, but it's important that we get to know these different levels. Take a look, for example, at the difference between the esteem needs and the love needs. Please, if you didn't get that so well, check it again, verify it again. If you require to a further explanation or something like that, but let me know and I will do it, because for example these two sometimes are tricky. People confuse them, so make sure that you get them. Okay, well, thanks a lot, hugs, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.